Attention, attention gamblers and poor people. We've got what you want.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, General of the Armies of the North.
Yeah, I don't think that's what we were talking about. Oh, you can hear the marching band and the cheerleaders, and I see myself in eighth grade in Eugene, Oregon, going to James Monroe Junior High and sitting on the 10-yard line and watching the Oregon Ducks as they would get pounded by USC and UCLA and Stanford, and everyone would come and take their turns kicking them in the nuts. And yet still I was there looking at those cheerleaders and I go, one day I'm going to get me some of that. And you know what? I'm proud to say that one day I did. And I think that's a great story for the kids watching myself and Andrew Caley from Covers here today. How you doing, Andrew?
Wonderful. I'm floored. I'm very jealous. I wish I had been able to get season tickets when I was that age. The East Coast of Canada is fine, but man, I'm still dying to get to just a college stadium one time, and to experience that would be so great. And
Okay,
boy,
I'll
okay,
tell you
here
where
we
we're
go.
going. I'm going to tell you where we're going.
Where we're going.
And we are going together.
Okay.
We're going to a Rose Bowl game. We're going to the Rose
Oh,
Bowl because my good friend Joe Bartnick, and a lot of people know he's a big comic, and he and Bill Burr are like comedy partners when they travel. Bartnick goes everywhere, and one time he called me and he's like, "Hey, bud, what's going on?" I go, "Where are you?" The Rose Bowl. No, you're outside the Rose Bowl, but you're not. No, I'm going to the game. He goes everywhere. He was in the Olympics. He calls from all these crazy places. So I'm like, okay, one day for all of us guys who've known each other, we'll get Bastel out of the household. We'll do what it takes, and we're going to the Rose Bowl. That's what I'm saying.
I'd love the Rose. I'm still floored that they haven't figured out that arena, that stadium, that aura, that atmosphere, that needs to be where they play the national championship
Oh, that'd
every
be great.
single year. Like, I don't
Yeah,
understand. Like, I don't want to see the national championship in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I want it in a college football stadium. There's not many college football stadiums left. Like the old Orange Bowl, gone. Like Miami plays in Hard Rock Stadium, and they just don't have the same vibe as they used to. Austin is one of the like obviously it's been rebuilt and refurbished and all that stuff, but it's a college stadium.
it is.
You need these spaces. It's what makes college football part of what makes it so great and so different from the NFL. It's not corporate. It's like I said, it's got this aura and this vibe to it. And let's go to the Rose Bowl. Like that's an easy sell for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so today I'm kind of pumped up, and obviously you can see the hat that I'm wearing. For people who are listening and not watching, but you should be watching. It is an Oregon Duck hat. But where are we going to start today? Where's the value? Because the big games, which are exciting, and they're the national games, but that's not always where value is when you start talking about college football. Sometimes.
That's true. That said, I think there. I want. Do you want to save the Ducks for a bit? Do you want to
Yes.
finish on
Let's
the
save it for the
Ducks?
big finale. Yes.
Okay, okay. Let's start with BYU then. We're
Okay.
gonna go with BYU to cover 6.5 points at Colorado. Um, I just think the time of Dion's over. I love prime time. I think he's great for college football. He is getting more eyes on the sport, which is great. And he actually did rebuild that Buffs program, but I don't know if without his son there, without Travis Hunter there, he does not seem as interested this year. The saga that they've done with the quarterbacks, they bring in Caden Salter who had played very well at Liberty one year. They went undefeated, blah blah blah. He comes in, they pay him a bunch of money to be the quarterback. They bench him after like a game and a half sort of thing, and they put in this other guy, Ryan Staub. He stinks in a game, and then they're like, "Oh, we got to go back to Salter now." And it just and when they came out and said Staub was the guy before it was a game against Houston, I believe, they were like, "This is the locker is rallying behind this guy. Like this is our guy." And then he's not starting again, like a game and a half later. So like, I don't know how you can get guys to follow you in
You
that
can't. You
in
can't.
that way.
The answer is you can't because it's too much of a circus. Now,
Yeah,
sometimes in pro, because they're men and they want the paycheck, they can kind of tough it
you
out a
can get
little
away with
bit.
that. Yeah.
I don't think in college you can just wash the kids away with that kind of stuff. I don't think it works.
I watched every play of them in that Houston game, and it's like, oh yeah, we've got Warren Sapp on the sidelines, we've got a bunch of NFL guys as our coaches, and they're like, because they just know the game better than college guys. And I was like, I just don't think he
No.
understands the college game well enough. He just doesn't. And BYU is the opposite of that. Like this is a program, like their head coach has been there forever. Like guys buy into that program. You actually have to buy into that program, even though they have those ridiculous, what are they, those moral contract clauses or whatever they
Well,
are.
they're kind of
Uh,
sticklers for that at the old it'll Brigham Young. They gotta stay to those rules.
oh, I'd love to know who actually sticks to those rules, but
Okay, I can't speak to them afterwards, but but I think Jim McMahon might have been, may have bent some of those rules after he left.
anyways, BYU, solid quarterback play, underrated defense. Like this is the opposite of Colorado. Very, very well coached team. I think they cover this spread at 6.5 points. Really like that.
Where else are we going this weekend? A lot of games at noon tomorrow.
The
I
big
do know.
noon game.
Yeah.
I kind of like. So this is a fun one. I like laying 14.5 points with Navy in this week. They didn't cover in their last game. But Blake Horvath is one of the best quarterbacks in the country that nobody talks about. I don't know what it is. I bet this preseason, Navy to make the playoff. It was plus 1800 preseason. It's about plus 1200 the last I checked. I don't know what it is now. Really sneaky good team. Um, Defense is solid. They create a lot of pressure on the defensive line. One thing I love, and when I'm handicapping college football, two things. It may seem really stupid and simple, but that also is part of the joy of handicapping college football. That and just that you can throw all this advice out the window sometimes because college football is so chaotic. But when I'm handicapping, I like to know who is protecting their quarterback and who is getting after the quarterback, who can prevent pressure and who can create pressure. Those are the two biggest things in college football because not everybody, there's 136 teams in college football. Not everybody has competent quarterback play. A lot of them don't, in fact. And we look at the NFL and we're like, man, why is there only like 8 good quarterbacks in the NFL? One, I don't think people are developing quarterbacks as much anymore in
No.
college. Whether it's they're trying to implement systems that are too pro-like, or it's the exact opposite. They're straight system quarterbacks in the system that they're in, and that doesn't translate to the NFL.
Well, see that I'm on the latter. Just my argument has always been when they draft somebody, which is why I was so anti JJ McCarthy when they drafted him. When you come from Michigan, you are not throwing the ball 45 times a game. You're not even
Nope.
throwing it maybe 25 times a game. And I'm like, when you have to go from that to the NFL, just like when Marcus Mariota with Chip Kelly, when you saw the RPO stuff, but the clock is different in college. So when Marcus Mariota went from running a play every 20 seconds or whatever crazy number it was that Chip had them doing, well, it doesn't work that way. And as Chip found out, in going to pro, he couldn't implement that kind of craziness and force the defense into schemes that maybe they didn't want to actually do. And so to me, it's the latter. It's got to make sense going from one to the other, and it doesn't always work.
Yeah, and it's that's why just on JJ McCarthy really quickly, he's a guy with tools. I'll give him that. He definitely has tools to be an
Sure.
NFL quarterback, but that Michigan team was such a collection of very, very good players. Not a lot of elite players, but everyone, like they had 20 people drafted off that team and then another like 13 the next year. So it was just NFL talent everywhere. That Michigan team that won a national championship, I would say, was the sum of its parts, which was a lot of very good parts. And JJ McCarthy is getting a rude awakening. Anyways, back to Blake Horvath. I think they
Yes,
cover
Blake
the
Horvath. Yes.
they cover 14.5 points. I think he's like kind of a sneaky Heisman play too, because he could put up really crazy numbers when the season's all said and done. Don't hate the under in this game against Rice either, because Rice runs the ball the most in college football outside of the service academies. So a lot of clock movement in this. It isn't a traditional, for those who don't know, like Service Academy unders are a thing in college football the last few seasons, because these are two teams that run triple options against each other. They barely ever pass the ball. Rice runs the ball a lot too. I think the under isn't a terrible play there. In the early slate, one more game we can look at. Let's see here. Well, there's must win. Notre Dame and Duke. Or not, sorry, Notre Dame and Arkansas.
Yeah.
This line is fishy, okay? Notre Dame is just a 4-point favorite. That tells me books are begging you to take the Irish.
The,
because
I agree because I'd say all this. Well, for the lack of it is a sharper play, but the sharps always seem, or right now on this game, they're taking the plus money.
taking the
Yeah,
points with the
yeah,
Razorbacks with an underrated defense, with a quarterback in Green who is very effective, and this Notre Dame defense has not like one of the reasons you like Notre Dame going into the season. This is supposed to be a shutdown defense that doesn't give up any points. Well, people are running on them. People are giving up. They're giving up points. They did not look like the best unit when they played Miami. They did not look like the best unit when they played Texas A&M. So they have some issues that they've got to work through here. And I don't know. I don't hate Arkansas here in the early slate at +4.
and Talon Green can throw that ball. He
Hmm.
can throw that ball. Like this thing could be a little volatile. Now, do I still think that both running backs on Notre Dame are going to get their yards? Yeah, Love is gonna run for 100 yards. He just is, and
Yeah.
Price is probably going to run for another 60 or 70. It's going to be that way. However, getting what was it plus 3.5, plus 4.5, or whatever it is
You can
that
get
line.
4 now, so more than a field goal. It's
Yeah,
crazy. One
yeah,
more early slate game we should talk about. USC, your beloved USC Trojans,
yeah.
head into Illinois. Interesting spot. It's a 9 a.m. time kick for them, noon kick local. Illinois is just, I don't know if there's ever been a situation where a very evenly ranked team, like I believe they were around ranked, what were they, 10th or 12th last week going into that matchup against Indiana. And I just don't remember a time where two evenly matched teams like this went in and one came out absolutely humiliated and destroyed. Kirk Cignetti, first of all, Kirk Cignetti is an absolute psychopath. Anyone who doesn't watch college football, he's a psychopath. The week before, they were up like 56 to nothing in the second quarter against poor old FCS Indiana State. And then he was like, no, we're going to keep throwing the football. And Mendoza threw like 8 touchdowns. He threw like 8 touchdowns because he was like, I'm coaching every single play. Like the season's on the line. And I'm like, yeah, you are. That's
Yeah.
insane. But
Yeah,
it,
that's
it,
right.
it worked against Illinois, obviously. Mendoza now is the favorite to win the Heisman. But back to Illinois here. I don't know how you recover from this. I don't know what you go into your meetings saying this week. And now you have to go stop Jaden Maeva, who has been hucking it all over the yard
He's
so
looked
far.
really good. I will say
Really
that he
good.
has looked really good.
And
Yeah,
I am not a Lincoln Riley fan. Like, not at all.
nobody is.
Lincoln Riley isn't a Lincoln Riley fan.
He looks in the mirror and
But
goes, "I hate that guy."
but he does have several Heisman winners: Baker Mayfield, Caleb Williams,
Yep.
Jalen Hurt. Like the list, he's and Maeva looks really good right now. So
Mhm.
I don't know how Illinois is slowing him down. His touchdown prop right now, his touchdown passes is an elevated 2.5. Most touchdown passes in college are about 1.5. He's got a 2.5 for this game, but you're getting like plus 180 on it. So at that value, I'm gonna take a shot at Maeva to go over that. I really like that play as well.
Well, the big finale certainly in this house, and it's one of the top. Well, of course, you could argue it's the top game of the week, at least national television. And you've got Oregon, Penn State. Penn State currently, I believe, they've got as a 2, right? Yes,
I'm
or yes,
seeing 3.5 still.
3.
3.5's
No,
out
I'm
there.
sorry, ranking. Have they
Oh,
got them?
sorry. Correct.
I think so. Oregon, they have around 6. The biggest challenge I find at this time of year when you start looking at the rankings, you start looking at where these teams are. A lot of them have played really inferior teams, right? A lot of cupcake games out there. So when you look at some of these gaudy numbers by some of these quarterbacks, you really have to sort of, even the Oklahoma State game with Oregon, you have to take a look at that Oklahoma State team. It's not really what we, poor Mike Gundy. I know he's a man and I know he's 40, but his team looked like they were 70 years old. They got destroyed. And Oregon's played Northwestern and then Oregon State. Like this is for both teams, I believe, a taste of playing other men.
It will be. So for that reason alone, I lean towards the under 52.5 because when you get into these tight matchups, you see these numbers that are, like you said, they're probably juiced a little bit with these matchups. And like I said, like you can take all of that stuff with a grain of salt for sure. And yeah, Mike Gundy should have kept his foot out of his mouth for that game because Dan Lanning did the same. He was like, "Well, you want to see what the money gets you? This is exactly what the money gets you."
Yeah.
Uh, but when you get two teams like this, two very, very talented teams going up against each other, you get a more pro style game, and that tends to lean towards the under in my mind, particularly first half. I like the first half under in this game a lot, but I'm not here to both smoke up your butt or anything, Mike, but I love taking Oregon at more than a field goal here, plus 3.5. I went into this season with my biggest question about the Ducks being like, what is Dante Moore? Is he a quarterback who can lead this team to a national championship, to another Big Ten championship? If he's an above average quarterback, they will have a very good shot because this Oregon team from top to bottom is one of the most talented rosters in the entire country. And I would put them up there with Ohio State and with Penn State. Yes, I know Penn State, they use their NIL money awesome, which has been the recipe for the national championships recently. Not bringing in big transfer guys. Well, you can play if it's a quarterback, but generally you take your money and you invest it in your players to keep them from going pro. You bring back your 2 NFL running backs. You bring back your NFL offensive line. You bring back Drew Aller, who I'm still not entirely. He's another guy, all the tools in the world, but he's a guy who hasn't shown it yet. He hasn't really shown it.
So far, he's not a Sunday guy to me.
No. He's not, and he's not even a big Saturday guy yet. That's the thing. Like, he's been another guy who's been a sum of his parts. Like, he's got everything that has scouts drooling, but in the biggest games, Penn State has won because play of guys like Tyler Warren or the 2 running backs or the defense. We haven't been like, oh, here is a Drew Aller game that Drew Aller won.
Yeah.
And we're still waiting for it. Maybe it's this Saturday. Maybe it is, but I'm not willing to bet on it when I think that this Oregon quarterback is just as good and can maybe even be a more effective playmaker than Aller can. So with that in mind, when I think these rosters are this closely matched and you're giving me a field goal and a hook, I'm going to take that with that team.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think from a prop standpoint, if I'm taking a look at Singleton and Katron Allen, do they get 65 and over, like in between 65 and 70 yards? They probably do, because I think that the thing about Oregon, and they did change their philosophy where they went bigger in the interior, where they started getting more of an SEC looking kind of defense, because that's was always the knock against at the time the Pac-12.
That's why you go get Dan Lanning.
Yeah, you go out and you get a guy who knows how to, and so they plug some holes. I still think it's going to be a challenge for that defensive line, just looking at what they've done so far against some of those other teams, inferior teams, where, can they keep both of those guys under 70? I don't know if they do or not, but it lends itself back to that other conversation, because they're going to burn clock. They're going to want to pound that ball still, because I don't think it's going to be Drew's big day to wow us that he's a Sunday guy. So guess what you do? You're going to pound that ball. That screams under to me. It 100%. Screams tight game, which means if I get the hook at 3.5, then I'm probably taking it.
I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. I do have some player props in the other big game of the night, though.
Yes, let's hear it.
I am all over Ryan Williams of Alabama. They have set his receiving yards prop for this game at 62.5. So anyone who doesn't know, Ryan Williams is still just 18 years old.
I was going to say he's 14 years old.
He looks 14. He's an absolute freak of an athlete, and he just seems to step up in the biggest games. Now, obviously, he had a disappointing game against Florida State. All of Alabama did, obviously, against Florida State to open the season. But it really looked like they made a concerted effort to get him the football last week against Wisconsin. He went for 165 on 5 catches and 2 scores. He's an explosive player.
He's the fastest guy in the field generally when he's out there. He's going to be the fastest guy.
He can go over this number on 1 catch. Yeah. He went for 175 against Georgia last year. A touch. He scored made that crazy catch. Went for 75 yards with less than 2 minutes to go. Won Alabama that game. I just don't.
But when that happened, a much better Georgia defense than this one too.
Well, I will give Georgia a little credit for that. I thought this year's Georgia defense was going to be better, but to be fair, that's not how they've played. They have not played at all. And we just saw Joey Aguilar of Tennessee chuck the ball all over the yard against them. 371 yards and 4 scores. They rank 52nd in opponent EPA per dropback. Like, that is not what you expected of Georgia. They allowed Tennessee's top 2 receivers to go for 177 and 97 yards. Their second best receiver went for 97 yards. And you're saying Ryan Williams is only going to get 62 and a half?
Yeah,
Like,
like even if you're depending on the number that you want to get. So let's take a random number that's not very big. 70 yards. So if I go by the decimal, because I'm stupid, I need to see the decimal. It's a 214. So it's double your money for 70 yards, which, as you said, could be one throw.
So that's what we're doing, something we call a ladder, right? So we're gonna put a full unit on Ryan Williams to go for 70 yards. I'm looking at plus 114 right now, but then I'm gonna go to the next one. I'm gonna put another full unit on 80 plus yards. I'm gonna put a half unit. I'm gonna put a half unit on 90 plus yards and another half unit on 100 yards. This is a situation where he's gonna show up. He just is. I love this spot. I can't believe this number's this low. Georgia has done nothing to say that they can slow him down. So this is a fun flyer bet, and Ryan Williams is going to have a big day. I'm leaning towards Alabama on the money line as well in this one, mostly because of a guy like Ryan Williams. I think Alabama has the playmakers that Georgia does not. I'm also just not a big believer in Gunnar Stockton yet. I know he did what he had to do to put Georgia in a chance in a place to win that game against Tennessee, but I mostly think that was Tennessee just choking in the moment once again. But
wow, I got that ladder. I mean, I'm as excited as waiting for that lobster dinner at New Glasgow Church.
New Glasgow lobster dinners, yeah.
That's all. Now, do you have anything else?
That'll get you a couple dinners, but
yes, it would. Now, do you have anything else before we go?
Now I don't know when this is going to go up, but like I love TCU on Friday night on the money line.
This is going up tonight. It's going up
tonight.
We're talking tonight.
Get it into TCU goes to Arizona State. Right now, I love Josh Hoover. We talk about guys who have NFL tools. Josh Hoover is one of those guys whose scouts are going to start. You're going to start hearing scouts talking about this guy. He's got a hose of an arm. I think that there is still a perception around Arizona State from last season that this is still one of the best teams in the Big 12. They have not shown that at all this year. They looked bad in that game against Mississippi State. I thought Sam Leavitt was going to be a guy. He has not, and I really, really think everybody loved Cam Skattebo last year. Loved him. Like who doesn't love Cam Skattebo, right? Yeah. But I think we were still undervaluing him. Like his effectiveness on third downs to like turn plays that were third and longs to fourth and shorts sort of thing, or to get those, he would just get everything. He made their offense so manageable all of the time. It took so much pressure off Leavitt, and they just don't have that this year. They just don't. And Leavitt hasn't been able to step up in his absence. So that's what it is. I think TCU is the better team. I think the wrong team is favored here. I'm going to bet them on the money line here. I think the Horned Frogs win this one outright. I love this play.
This is outstanding. That is great stuff. Buddy, thanks so much for today. Appreciate it. We'll do it again next week, maybe with another special guest. You know, it just keeps getting bigger and better. So thanks so much for today.
Thanks for having me, buddy. Good luck with all your bets.
For over 40 years, Calgarians have trusted DKI Calgary when disaster strikes. From fires and floods to legendary hailstorms, our all-star team delivers rapid response and proven restoration excellence to residential and commercial customers. As the premier restoration provider in Calgary and Southern Alberta, we're the partner families, businesses, insurers, and property managers count on. When the unexpected happens, trust experience. Trust DKI Calgary, restoring homes, businesses, and peace of mind for more than 4 decades.
My thanks to Andrew Caley from Covers. A great job on college football. So let's get to it. And not only tonight's game, I'm going to tackle some CFL, but I'm also going to throw in some college as well. So let's start with a very probably pissed off Nathan Rourke His comments about the rule changes were pretty obvious. I think he's going to be extremely motivated. We've already seen him put up some huge numbers, but I think he just goes nuts tonight in BC. So Nathan Rourke, over 335 and a half yards passing. He does that. He throws also for over 1.5 touchdowns. So 2 touchdowns tonight. I think it is Keon Hatcher over 87 and a half yards, as well as Justin McInnes over 74 and a half yards. It's all part of that big yardage of if Nathan Rourke throws for 400 yards tonight, that won't surprise me. And the number I have, which is the alternative spread or the alternate spread, is -6.5. That's what I'm doing in the CFL. In college football, looking ahead to that Ohio State-Washington game, it's going to be a very, very, very good, possibly explosive game. This is actually Julian Assange's first true road game. I still think he throws for a ton of yardage because he can. So they go into Seattle. He throws for over 255 and a half yards is what I have. Jeremiah Smith comes back again to have another huge game, 90.5 yards. I think he goes over that. And also, looking at Carnell Tate, another handy, great receiver. He gets over 60.5 yards. That pays a 4 as well. So, by the way, so the combination is an 8 plus a 4. So that is 12 times your money for tonight's game. Oh, yeah, I can sneak one more in. Actually, talking to Andrew Caley, I did like his last pick. Let's go to the TCU game. I'm taking Josh Hoover to throw for over 250 yards tonight against a team that I believe he can do that too. Get it in there. Make your money. And remember, use the promo code on MyBookie, which is RAW, to get a safety net bet, meaning you lose your money or you lose the bet. You don't lose your money. You get your money back. You're welcome. From MyBookie.ag. RAW is the code. And now, as we always have a celebrity guest making bets, who was Aunt B yesterday, which is weird. Now it gets even weirder, although I miss this guy. What do we have to say about Marv Albert on some Marv Albert bets?
Yes! I am bedazzled, Mike, by your majestic majesty. Let's start with the University of Oregon, the Ducks, against the Nittany Lions. I like Singleton out of the backfield for 64 and a half yards, as well as Katron Allen also rushing for 68 and a half yards. Looking at the Oregon Ducks, I like Kenyon Sadiq for over 35 and a half yards, plus Decorian Moore for over 48 and a half yards. That pays almost 12 times your money. Yes! Also, I like Ryan Williams from the University of Alabama, a wide receiver who's got speed to burn at 70 yards plus rushing. He'll probably be closer to the century mark. And that pays a lot of money, almost 14 times your money. Yes!
Well, there it is. Do you notice how the guests on the show never pick a winner? They never, this is a gambling site and no one ever tells you who's going to win. Great luck tonight for all of us, especially for the Ducks. And remember, if you sign up right here this way, mybookie.ag, use the promo code RAW. That way, it's a safety net bet. So if the bet doesn't come through, you get your money back. Do it now, do it tonight, and best of luck.
Mike Richards! Mike Richards!
Yeah, sports talk will never be the same again.
Seriously, Jeff, stop laughing.
I mean, have you heard this guy?